Well, I've made F2, and that's the beginning of it. I still need to make F1, and what I normally do for F1 is just a 3/8 piece of aircraft ply. This is a 7-ply plywood, and these are the only two pieces of 7-ply heavy 1/8" wood that I use in the nose section. I found a piece of 3/16 finally. I found it in my scrap. It was kind of hard to find. And that gets set on top. That will be glued after I drill my motor mount. So now we're going to do the motor mount holes. And this is kind of critical, I believe, especially if you're, maybe not so much if you're flying a piped motor. You know, some of the guys on the West Coast say 0 degrees, you know, they don't want any motor offset. I like motor offset. I like about 2 degrees. So I set the motor in there in the crutch, and I turn it over. I just eyeball it, and we want about 2 degrees. We definitely want motor offset. I have one of these tools. I don't remember where it came from. A Sullivan, I think. It's a center drill, and that'll give you perfect centers for the holes. And then we're going to take it on a drill press and drill the holes. So this is just a marking tool. And I think this tool has been the most valuable tool I've bought. I've had it about 20 years. Really makes, it does for nice holes. You get them exact. Remember, this is day 5. We're not killing ourselves with this project. It's so we want to make sure that we drill here. So let's get a drill bit and drill those out for 440s. I don't know, this wood seems awful soft for maple. I'm not sure. so now we have our holes drilled, and this motor should fit in there perfectly. And it does. And we need to find some bolts now, and some blind nuts, and we'll pull that down and glue that top piece on, and we can start putting a fuselage together. Okay. Couple washers. Couple bolts. These are a little long, so we'll have to get some 3/4, but it'll be good enough to pull the nuts down. Looks like I'm going to have to make another call to micro fasteners. I'm kind of running low on supplies. I have to go to my other stash and see if I got them. One, two, 3, 4 blind nuts. Oh, dropped it. That's, are these 440 or 632? $440 on that. Okay. Okay. So, get out 4 washers. This video will post today, or I'll try to. The problem is I'm running on my laptop. My good computer, I guess it's because of the dust up here, has blown out, and I need to rebuild it. It needs a new motherboard. I just don't have the money for it, so I gotta do what I gotta do. See, when you do it that way, the bolts fit right in. There's no forcing anything in, so let me put this tool back. It only comes out of the drawer about about twice a year, depending on the amount of airplanes that I build throughout the year, but you only use it for that one purpose. That's it. Is this 440? It is. So now we'll pull the blind nuts down in it. This airplane will be powered by a Super Tiger 60 one more time. I really like these 60s. That Brodak, I let my airplane go and I thought it was too rich, but it came up to level up and set right into the groove like it was supposed to. Of course, this will get all sealed with Z-epoxy. Got a bolt here that's not going to want to thread. There it is. Got a rusty bolt. We'll fix that. I still need to make some metal plates. For that, I think I have some. But we won't worry about that now. We have that done. So there we have the crutch with some motor offset. Loosen this up, see if I can get a little more offset in it. Yeah, it's offset all the way. So now I'll take the motor back out. We'll glue that piece on the top. We're going to use white glue to glue that on the top, and I'll tack it with some CA. If you don't think white glue is strong, furniture is made with it, and it lasts for hundreds of years. Okay. We have these blind nuts sticking out into the motor area. I just take a Dremel tool. and grind them off. And then we're going to put this on here. I'm going to have to get another bottle of white glue. This one here seems to clog up for some reason. This is just school glue, Elmer's white glue. They call it school glue. I used to hate this stuff because you couldn't build very fast with it. We used to get Tester's yellow label glue. They had the green bottle. Come on. And a yellow and a red. Okay, we got glue on it now. It didn't want to play, but I squished it good. If any of you guys ever want to know if it's one of my airplanes and it happens to crash, just look on the top of the motor mount crutch. It'll have my name, R.C. Stork, plus the date that I started the airplane. All of them. Anything that I build has my name on the motor crutch. So, you dog. That should work. Ah. Now, I've left it quite hanging over by quite a bit. It's for a reason. We're going to cut that and sand it on the disc sander so that everything fits tight. Simple. And I'll take it on a disc sander here and sand that flush. Okay, that's that part. Now we have the next task at hand, and that's cutting this to the correct length. So I've put that in the crutch as such, and we're going to mark this mark F2 to the correct length before I glue it in. I have done it after I've glued it in, but it's a real pain. Yeah, glue. I'm gonna have to get out another little snorkel. Fits. Still too much. But better too much than not enough. Or better not enough than too much, I should say. on the forum about appearance points and creativity and all that other business, which doesn't equate into the event. But one thing that was said, I think Doug said it, is that about a poorly constructed model. You can definitely see, I can grab a hold of an airplane and within just a matter of seconds I can tell you if it was precisionally built or haphazardly built. So my advice to everybody is get a square, make it oversized, sand it to fit, make sure every piece fits correctly, and you're going to have a better model. I mean, there's just no two ways about it. So we have our crutch there. I need to cut one more piece of 1/8" ply for an F1 before we go any farther. And how I do that is, we'll probably cut this on the table saw. Probably would be faster. Forgot. I forgot. You guys be very careful around power tools. That little 5" Dremel will take your Dremel table saw that I bought from somebody on the forum here. That will take your finger right off in a second. In a second. There's not a doubt in my mind. So now we need a piece to go in here. I cut that on a table saw too. And we'll sand it to size. That's too small. That's too big. Is this piece necessary? Probably not. Okay, that's F1, and it fits good, fits tight. Alright. So now we have F1 done in the front, which is just a 1/8 inch piece of plywood across there, 7-ply plywood. And I'll glue that in, and we'll sand that flat because I want it perfect. I'm going to use the white glue again for that. I do not know why. It might be because this glue is too thick or something. I just don't want to come out of this bottle. I think we're going to break and go to Lowe's and get some carpenter's glue or white glue or something, maybe some Gorilla Glue. I'm basically out of everything. Okay, that's white glue, and then I'm going to CA it too, so I can continue on. The F2 will be epoxied in. I just don't feel there's a whole lot of need for anything other than white glue and some CA to hold it in there on the number 1. So now to make that flat, put it on the belt sander. And that is our completed crutch from scratch on my own design airplane. And I think about as far as we'll get today is we'll go ahead and lay up these fuselage sides. Get the filler blocks in. I'll probably make a nose ring today. But trust me guys, I'm not killing myself on this build. I'm just kind of tinkering. And we're almost done. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I'm, coming up on the halfway point for the general woodwork. In 5 days. I do want to make some notches in the motor mounts for extra glue. I'll show you how I do that, which is not a big deal. It seems that we're going to have to sand to this side a little bit. Not quite square. What's up with that? That's what's up with that. Let's see how it looks. Muy bueno. And the way that I've been doing these cowls is it gets a piece of plywood across this way so that the cowl can bolt on and hook into the nose ring with one screw. Some guys do a tank box. We might do that. I might put a piece of light ply in here, stiffen the nose up even more. Kind of important that you have a super stiff nose, especially for these ground pounder super taggers. Now, if you remember, I showed you the notch that had to be cut for the wing. Well, I didn't cut it yet because I wanted to make sure that it fit perfect. So I'm marking it now. And I just take the Dremel tool with a disc sander on it. Matter of fact, we'll make it go a little faster. We'll use the belt sander and take some of the main part off. About 10 minutes. Now for some of you, you already know this, but I don't do these videos for advanced builders. I do these videos for guys who just want to build a better airplane. Of course, I don't know, there's some advanced builders that could use some tips too. So if you'll notice, I cut this round notch in this, and that glues right to the top of the wing. So your motor is now connected to your wing when you glue this all together. Switch to the front. No. Well, Shug, are you bored yet? I've changed my mind. I'm not going to put them grooves in that wood. There's really not much of a need for it. We're just going to glue her up. Boy, is that wide. Why is that so wide? Can't win today. Well, just like last time, it broke right there. We're going to cut it apart anyway, but I want to hold it together there while I'm building the fuselage. Alright, I'm going to cut the camera and take a break. I'm starting to drop shit, so I'll be back in a bit. Okay, what I've done today is I glued the fuselage crutch together. I put the filler blocks in it. I put the nose ring on and sanded it to the correct angle and clearance. I didn't make a whole lot of progress today, but that's okay. We're not in a big rush. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a tail post. And how I'm going to do that is I've kind of figured the length of this fuselage in a way that it will blend perfectly into the 3/8 rudder that I'm going to use. So I'm going to need a cut of tail post, and this has been sanded down so it's not quite 3/8. We need to see where we come as far as thickness we need. Yeah, I can measure it and do the math, but it's a whole lot easier to do it this way. I'm going to need a 3/16 tail post, which is, I happen to have some 3/16 material around here somewhere. Here's a piece right here. So we will cut a tail post, 3/16 square. I dug out my pins, T-pins. Of course, I guess I could just tack it with some CA on this side. Which I've done here. Oh, we got a phone call. I'll be back in a moment. That was old Chris Rudd. He needed some painting advice. I like Chris. He's a good kid. Anyway, I'll get this post put in. And how I do it is I just sight down the fuselage and glue her up. We'll pin it, and then I'll look at it, then finish glue it. Fuselage got a bow in it for some reason. Well, we're gonna have to pull that over when I glue the top on. Oh, I know it'll help it. So we're not gonna glue that right away. We're gonna make the bulkheads before I glue that together. Now, I've seen Wendy's videos where he puts 50,000 bulkheads back here. You only need 3. So we're gonna we're gonna measure and cut a few of them. That'll keep this square here. I guess it'd be best to do the front one and cut that to the height, because they're going to get smaller and smaller going back. So you want to make sure these are square. Looks like I've ruined my square here. I got some glue on it. Well, let's see what happens here. Okay, got it off. I'll check this, make sure it's square. It is. And we'll check this. You know what, I'm going to use this wood here. We'll use this wood instead. before I come back for the next week, I'm going to clean this place up so I can actually do some work. Been a little difficult working in this mess. Now, just like the motor crutch, you want the grain to go crosswise from side to side. Happened to my blade, it fell out. Can't win today. I think tomorrow I will tissue the elevator stabilizer and the rudder. We'll get that prepared. I don't know if you folks are aware of what's going on in Texas, but we have a big problem in this country. The TPP is passed. We've given our sovereignty away. The Jade Helm operation down in Texas is going on. Big military movement, 100% against posse comitatus. Things I have never seen in my life in this country. The Russians are coming in to let's turn this over. Are coming into the Gulf of Mexico in case there's a takeover. The world is on the brink of World War III. And all I want to do is build model airplanes. Okay, let's tack it. Not that it has to stay there, because I want to make sure that this fuselage is square, and we're going to do that by sight. Okay, that's that one. So now what I do is I measure the bulkhead that goes ahead of the stabilizer, and you want that right on the leading edge of the stabilizer. That stabilizer glues into this bulkhead. Remember, everything is everything. Everything needs to be interlocking on this. If you want a nice, strong airplane. And with a span of 30 inches, the stabilizer has to be guarded against for vibration. So if you make all these things unitized, you have less opportunity for vibration. So now we'll do this back one. I want to tack it and eyeball it. We don't want a twisted fuselage. That looks real good. Now we can tack the tail post. Well, I better pin it first, make sure it's straight. We're going to pin it, and it bowed over, so it's a good thing I didn't glue it. Let's see here, it's got to go to the right. I should have glued it. That's better. So we'll tack it. Almost got CA in my eye, just like Carl Lovins, like I told you. That is not good. I had no idea that happened to Carl. So we'll take this out. Now we're going to cut the tail post to length on my saw. We're going to take the long straight or sanding bar. I'm going to take this motor out. It's too much weight on it. I've got the nose ring sanded in anyway. Now, I know that I've started and stopped these videos, but most of the work time that I've done has been on camera. So ever how long this video is, minus a couple of sessions where I made some parts off camera, is how long it's taken to make this. It did take me a week to get it this far, but I haven't been really working on it. I've just been kind of tinkering. It is 5 days. We have a fuselage, elevator, stabilizer, rudder, and I'll probably glue the top and bottom blocks on this and start hogging them out, getting it shaped. I still have to think what I want to do for the shape. Do I want a turtleneck or not? So now we got the motor out of it, it'll be a lot easier to handle. Bend over. I've got to cut it loose and bend it over to the right now. So I do make mistakes, oh well. What I do in this case is I just cut right straight down the tail post. Okay, let's get the glue here. I see what's happened. What's going on outside now? Trust no one. Okay, that's pretty straight. But we're going to stop there for today. I'm going to make this movie up. It'll take me probably an hour to make the movie. what I'm going to do is I'm going to, on the table saw, cut a slot in the nose of this for a 16th inch piece of wood. And we're going to use a 16th inch piece in this direction, this way, for a leading edge, and then put a molded leading edge on it. I just got to get away from this starved horse look. I just absolutely hate it. And I think this wing is going to be a real good wing. But there again, you know, it's speculation. You don't know until you build it and fly it. So, but we have an airplane. I mean, a week's time, it's coming together. This won't fit in because it's not notched yet, but 2 coats of dope on everything. We can start papering and filling all the nicks. Oh. It's an airplane already, so I can see it, can't you? So until next week, tight lines. Well, we're on day 6. I didn't get the movie posted last night, but I'll try to get that done today. We'll try to make this a weekly deal. I didn't clean up the shop either. It's just the way it goes. But what I did do was I had to straighten my top block piece. This is a piece I bought at Brodak. I had to search an entire stack of wood for this piece. And that's okay, we got one out of it. That's what I needed. So what I'm going to do is, first is I'm going to draw a line right straight down the center of it. First thing I'm going to do is glue this crack here. Put a little CA in this crack. So I don't have any problems. Anyway, I just eyeball it because we're going to be cutting this board, and we also have to cut it on the bandsaw for that shape that I like so well for the cockpit. Now, in order to get this to lay on there flat, first you have to straighten the wood. I sanded it on the belt sander till it was straight, because it was warped. I'm going to draw a center line on it. This is a handy dandy tools. The 6-foot straight edge. And we're going to lay this up on top of here in the center. Now this, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it helps if you get it close. I sanded an angle in the front of it so that it matched the nose ring angle, because remember, this has got 2 degrees motor offset. I take a pin, pin it down, take a couple pins, so it doesn't move. Alright, so now, there we go, put another pin in it. Move it. Okay, there we have an airplane. Everybody see that? No. Anyway, we're going to draw the outline of the fuselage on the top block. Now we unpin it. I like building my own designs because there's no rules. I make it look like whatever I want it to look like. Set this aside. Need to connect the dots by the elevator stabilizer. Now molding would probably, well, I'm not sure whether it's lighter or not. Because this piece is going to end up the same weight, but definitely faster. So the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to cut the shape of the top. Because remember, I'm going to put that little flip up in the front of the instrument panel. So the instrument panel is just at the high point of the wing. We'll have to get a high point of the wing, an approximation. It's of course approximately right there. I guess we could, of course it's right on the crack. So we want to cut this in half. cockpit's about that long. Then you want to taper this down. I don't want all this material on the back. So I'm going to taper that down. Well, if I taper that down, then, you know, I'm going to sand it down. I was going to cut it off, but I think I will sand it off, because if I cut it off, I have no way to stop. It's already gone. Take a look at the side view of this. I don't think I want to cut that much out of the nose of this either, so I'll redraw that. Okay, what I've done here is I first marked out the fuselage outline on top and on the top. Then, because I like that little swoop up here, I'm going to cut this out. But I have to cut this out first because that holds this block square to the bandsaw table. If I were to cut this out first, it would be in the table like that, crazy. So I'll be back in a second after I cut this on the bandsaw. Okay, the first piece that I cut on the bandsaw was this top piece here. You'll notice it turns up like that. And that's so we can have the cockpit right here and have the nice dashboard. I think it's far enough back. I'll have to look. So we'll be back in a minute. Okay, I want to talk about wood, basically. Now, you remember I wanted to taper down the top of this to, you know, to make it look nice. And I was going to cut that, but I decided against it. Well, it's a good thing, because when I relieved the sides of this, it warped in that direction. So now, I've taken it on the belt sander and sanded it on the bottom pretty straight. But we'll get the long straight edge and get it perfectly straight. Now, the difference between doing it this way and cutting it is if I cut it, it'll warp even more. But if I sand it, it doesn't warp. Don't ask me why. And that's pretty good. So now we get to see the profile of this. Not bad. And of course we can sand a little attitude into into the top as well, but I sure am glad I didn't cut that, because the power of the wood pulled it right over. So before I go any farther, I'm going to let this breathe, let's say for, well, probably an hour. It should be able to find its way in an hour, I would think. But it'll still have the desired look it wanted because it warped in that direction. So this is the front of the instrument panel right here, and the cockpit will be cut into the inside of this. Let's see what it looks like with the rudder. I still need to put some stringers in this because I want it real shapely, and with 3/32 fuselage sides, you're not going to get any shape. You have to put a stringer into it to get it to sand around. And that should work out just fine. Now I'm debating, there's about a quarter in, I'm going to add instead of subtract. Remember when building these, when in doubt, always cut larger, leave it on. We have a lot of cutting off tools, but there aren't any adding tools, so it's best to leave it on and when in doubt, and then come back and sand it off or carve it off or whatever. But so far, this is the 6th day. We got an airplane. We're starting to take shape. I will try to get the bottom on, and we'll get the outside shaped of the airplane today. We'll plane off all the other stuff, and then maybe next week we'll get onto the wing. I still don't have the sheeting for it. I have the rib material, but I want to sheet the wing in 77 or 3/32 wood so that we don't get any of those scallops. And I think that's going to be a real good wing. So I'll cut the camera and do some tinkering here until I got something interesting to post. I'll be back.